So, as we all know, there's a new experimental patch out that content creators made, and it's actually finally some content Overwatch has, and people are pretty excited about it. But we want to go over if it should be a meme or if it should still be a thing that should get put into a future patch in the game. So, we're going to go over patch notes of every single change that heroes have gotten and discuss it in chat. And we're also going to put it up on YouTube for other people's comments in their input. So first up, Flats does all the tanks, and the first tank up is Diva, which the defense matrix size is increased by 10%, which I can't really see like on this screen, but 10%, which could be good. The boosters increased from 2 to 4 seconds, so you're flying in the air for 4 seconds at a time, and your speed is increased by 25%, so you can get around faster and you're in the air for longer. And when you eject out of mech, it shoots you up 15 meters per second up and 10 meters per second in the direction you're holding, which I cannot show either, but it's basically just a meme rocket jump. So what we're going to go over with is, oh, and Pilot Diva quick melee when she's out of mech also increased from 30 to 100. Bleh. So Diva currently on today, which is December 2nd of 2021, is probably one of the strongest tanks being played. So we're actually going to get our ult charge up. So this is what we want to discuss, is about the booster change. So when you're changing the boosters, basically what you're doing is you're changing how bomb is thrown. See, a bomb keeps going up in the air and it explodes in the air. So you got to keep that in consideration when you make the change to the boosters. And then apparently I can melee twice and it kills them. So for Diva, do we make any of these changes a thing, or do we make it a meme, or keep it as a meme? And me personally, this is what my take it is on. You can keep the booster durations in the defense matrix size increase if you nerf your defense matrix to 1.5 seconds. But I don't think that the melee damage increase should stay in. Maybe ejected should stay in as a meme, because that's kind of funny. But I say if you do put these changes in, you gotta nerf Diva's defense matrix cooldown to 1.5 seconds. That's fair? Alright, Eric, you're the Diva main. What do you think? You don't know? So, like, Diva could be completely fine if these changes didn't go through. But if the changes did go through, which would be a lot more fun, a lot more active for Diva players to boost around like this and, you know, this kind of stuff. Like, you would have to nerf something else. So take as a keep Diva the way she is, no changes, or put the changes in, nerf Diva's defense matrix to 1.5 seconds. Right? Kind of have a majority vote for that. So second change is Erisa, which is, so she has pretty much 400 armor now, which I think that's a meme change. So she has a 300 HP shield now, which is 8 seconds cooldown instead of 10 seconds cooldown. She doesn't slow down while firing now, so she's a speedy horse shooter. And it lasts 6 seconds now for Fortify, which is a very long time. And Pool is a 4-second cooldown now. So, like, there's a lot of Erisa changes here that Flats did, and I think some of them are good and some of them are bad. But also keep in mind that a lot of tank players do not like playing Erisa in general. So you gotta think about what the community likes to play when making these changes, because some people probably don't want Erisa to be meta. There are a lot of people probably don't want Erisa to be meta. So takes on this is that I think if you make the protective barrier an 8-second cooldown, or you make it 300 HP, it probably needs to be on a 6-second cooldown instead of an 8-second cooldown, because 300 is not a lot of health at all. So that's 600 HP shield every 16 seconds instead of 10 seconds. That's a pretty big fucking nerf to the shield. Or either that, or you keep the shield at 500 HP and you make it 8 seconds. So if you're for changing the shield in that kind of way, that's what I would take. I actually honestly wouldn't change the shield at all. However, the one change I think that should be in keeping for the Erisa is that fortified duration should be increased to 4 to 6 seconds, but the headshot damage should come back. So I think that would be the only change I would make to Erisa from this patch. Like, I think the fusion driver firing is not slow. That might be a little much. And the halt cooldown's a little much. But I really do think the Fortify change should be in because a lot of people do complain that Fortify should have headshot. Keep the hat. Okay, keep the hat. We're keeping Santa hat all year long. You don't mind the fusion driver buff? Maybe not. But I really do think, if anything, the Fortify change should go through. But we honestly don't want Erisa to be meta anyway. Like, Erisa's meta, double shield's meta. People don't like that. So, I don't know. But if you want to make Erisa a little bit more fair, I feel like that would be a good change. Okay, so this is the change I'm most excited about. And I'm not even a main tank player. Is Ryan's changes. I think all these changes for Ryan are incredible. Like, Flats nailed it with the changes for the most part. So your barrier health is 2,000 now, back to what originally was instead of 1,600. Ryan changes, I think they nailed them. I think Flats nailed Ryan changes, which kind of makes sense. He's a Ryan player. But armor health is increased to 525, which I like. A little bit more survivability. The barrier health, I'm not so quite sure about. It increased to 1,600 to 2,000. I think it should be 1,800. So you have a little bit more shield against double shield, so you can close the space a little bit more. But I think 2,000 is too much. Because if you combine Sig with Ryan, you're going to be having 2,700 shield break to do. That seems like a little bit too much, in my opinion. But Fire Strike has 2 charges. It's faster. And it does 80 damage per charge. I think it should be 70 damage per charge or 75 damage per charge. 80 might be a little too much. But the Fire Strike change is good. Very, very good. Fire Strike, I do like a lot. Maybe 75 instead of 80. But the rest is good. Earth Shatter is kind of interesting. So, basically, Flats wants you to be able to completely alpha a Reinhardt with the voice lines. So, like, maybe if, you know, you're a big chat alpha Reinhardt, you want to keep the voice lines in. However, I don't think Earth Shatter should do any amount of damage like that, dude. Because knockdown duration increased to 2.5 to 3 seconds. I might say keep that, but the damage should not be a thing at all. Like, there's no reason I should do that to a Zarya. And I don't think it should be anything more than it is now. I think it should stay 50. Like, I know it's an ultimate, but, like, Reinhardts get their ult pretty fast, and doing extra damage in Earth Shatter is a little bit much. Especially now when you have 2 Fire Strikes that do more damage combined than the single Fire Strike does. I think that you're going to get Earth Shatter faster than ever. So Earth Shatter, maybe keep the knockdown duration, but nothing else should go through unless you want the voice lines to go through. Steadfast buff, knockback resistance increased to 30 to 40%. Keep it. Reinhardt mains will. You say let him do 100 damage? Okay, 100 damage on impact. But 50 damage normally, like it normally is. I guess I can keep it like that. But canceling charge, keep it. Keep the canceling charge. If you're keeping any part of this change, keep the charge cancel. I think the charge cancel should be the #1 thing that they should have put in from the very start of the game. I think all these changes are great for Ryan. Like, Ryan, I honestly think when Ryan's meta, the game is healthy. So, Ryan changes should be a thing. Next is Roadhog, and Roadhog, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. Maximum health is reduced from 600 to 500. The scrap cannon pellet damage is reduced from 6.6 to 5, so he has a massive damage nerf in terms of his gun. His hook, though, is impact increased from 30 to 70, so you do 70 damage when you land a hook. The cooldown from the hook is reduced from 8 to 6, and take a breather still does half his health, but it's 250. And now, whole hog, and you can shoot upwards and lift yourself up. So, thinking about this way, is that if you make Roadhog change like this, Roadhog will solely be a big DPS. Because he has less pellet damage, he will not be able to break shields or support his team as much as he did. And, like, because, like, when you make this change go through, you can still one-shot 250 HP targets. Because the hook does so much damage. I don't know if it one-shots Bastion, because this time, because the hook does not eat through all the armor, and it almost one-shots Bastion. But his damage itself is like decreased by a lot. See, like, the damage is very, very much weaker. But the 6-second cooldown on the hook makes it so Hog can hook a lot more targets a lot easier. I think that's cool. That's funny. Don't add that to the game. Okay, so I guess the whole Hog change is a meme. But what about the other changes? Let's look at Winston. Let's look at Winston. All right. Because the armor is what's killing Roadhog's viability. Like, it's still 2 shots with the melee, but I think beforehand it was just 2 shots. Yeah, it kind of make like, okay, so Hog doesn't bust tanks as well as he used, but he will be able to hook squishies a lot more and kill squishies a lot more reliably. I honestly think Roadhog's fine the way he is. I honestly wish they'd nerf Roadhog so I'd quit getting Roadhogs in my games. So, yay or nay on the Hog changes? I say nay. Meh. They're interesting. They're interesting, but this would be a change that would have to actually like be implemented and see how it works. So I'm saying nay, but no. Mad about it. If we're not all aboard for it, we're just going to say nay. Okay, so next changes are Sig changes, and as a Sigma player, I hate most of these. So he has 500 HP now, but he has no experimental barrier. Accretion now can do a one-shot combo. That bot was already hurt. Hold on. Okay, so Sigma has a one-shot combo now without the melee. Like, without the melee, he can one-shot combo again. But Accretion can now be reflected and eaten by Defense Matrix, and I don't want that. Like I said, it makes Sigma very much more DPS and less more of like a supportive kind of tank. I don't think it should be deflected or eaten. I'd rather have Accretion not do a one-shot combo and make him more of like a DPS kind of thing than not being able to counter some of the things he's good at countering. And then the last thing is that he's a zoomy boy when he's eating. If you make his rock eatable, then other objects like turrets and BAP lamps should be eaten as well, and that is 100% true. Or Junkrat turret or trap. I honestly think that none of these changes should go through, except for maybe the descent thing, because that is kind of cool. He's the floaty boy. Woo! You're in the air for a long time, but yeah, I don't think any of these changes should go through at all. Because if you put any of these changes through, you're gonna have to get rid of his experimental barrier. And see, you want to say that, B-Dong, but you think he's overkitted, but literally all of his abilities are on such long cooldowns and are not that great that having all those abilities is fine. Like, he is a very double shield pog buy. Well, see, like, if you want double shield to be gone, then you gotta nerf Zen and BAP. Zen and BAP enable double shield. If you make Lucio meta again, then double shield will be gone unless you're running Sig Rhyme. And, like, if you do, like, get rid of Sigma shield, you're gonna have to buff him a lot more than these changes. Yeah, exactly. He's overkitted on paper, but he's actually not that good. Like it takes... You can redeploy your shield every 2 seconds. You have to be very skilled to block shatters and like have good reads. And eating an ultimate is super hard. His eat hitbox is only as big as his hitbox. Like, you have to be in the Sigma hitbox for it to eat anything. And it's a 12-second cooldown. So, like, he has a lot of abilities, but his abilities are really bad. That's why he's not meta. So, if they didn't make these changes go through, if you got rid of experimental barrier, the accretion change cannot be deflected or eaten. You need to increase the impact damage and explosion damage like they did here, but it cannot be reflected or eaten. But all the other changes stay. But I think he's fine as the way he is. I think he's just weak now because they made him weak. And Diva and Ball are just better. Nay. I think Winston's a whole ass nay except for the turret damages. So knockback effects are now 30% less effective against Winston, which I don't think should be a thing. That should be a Reinhardt only thing. And Winston deals 100% more damage to deployable objects, which I think should be the only thing that stays. Jump Pack now deals 100 damage to enemies within 4 meters of the launch location. Travel speed is increased by 30%, and Primal Rage has increased health by 1,000. And this is the number one reason why the Jump Pack change should not go through. Right there. Pack should not go through, and if you think that Primal Rage needs to go through, maybe. But, like, the way I look at it is, it's more feeding. You give Primal Rage 500 more HP, that's 500 more HP to feed. But I do think that Winston should deal 100% more damage to deployable objects such as turrets, barriers, and lamp. How much does he do right now? None. When he launches off of launch, he does not do any damage. When he lands, it's 40, but when he launches, there's nothing. So what they're wanting to, so what Flat said is when you jump in the air, you do 100 damage to whatever's around you, and then you land for 40 more. No, the landing damage is fine. This is jumping, then landing, and then melee. That's 170 damage if you land it correctly. Yeah, no, that should not go through. That doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. It shouldn't go through. That's definitely a meme change. Jump Pack changes, meme. Primal Rage, I think that's a bad idea because it just feeds the enemy more ult charge, in my opinion. Well, B-Dog's a Winston player, and he says Primal should be buffed. I honestly think it's a bad idea because you're just going to feed more ult charge. But if you say it should go through, then sure, we can make that go through as well. Jump Pack is a meme. The turret damage is a yay. The Primal Rage should be a yay. So 2 changes should be yay. Jump Pack, no. But anyway, we're going to Wrecking Ball now. Because we're talking about the changes now, not what I want. So this is the change that I love the most. Is that when you're grappling, you can only grapple for 3.5 seconds and then you automatically let go. Is a yay for me. Less stalling. That's what I like about these changes is that Flats made Ball a less of a stall hero and more of a dive hero. For roll, the jump height, you jump higher, the jump height is increased by 100%. And full speed collisions are reduced from 50 to 40. So when you're hitting someone, it does less damage. It only does 40 now. And you can change your directions a lot easier. See how easy it was to do like a right angle right there? Pile driver damage has reduced from... Minimum damage has reduced from 20 to 15. And the maximum damage is from 100 to 80. Yeah, you can pile drive on jump now. The cooldown is now 8 seconds instead of 10. And adaptive shields are now 50 per shield instead of 75. And the duration is 12 seconds now instead of 9. And the cooldown is reduced from 15 to 12 seconds. And me, like, rolling around here, like, I think this is a lot more fun for Ball. Because, like I said, it makes him more of a dive hero now. So, what do y'all think about those? I honestly think all of these changes are good. Like I said, it makes Ball less of a stall hero. I don't want Ball to be a stall hero. I want him to be a dive hero, like he's meant to be. This makes him a dive hero. Oh, true. It would make ulting a lot easier. Yeah, that might be kind of broken. Yeah, that's a GR. Okay, so keep all the changes except for jump pile driver. But I do think that all the other changes should go through, though. It still makes Ball more of a dive hero than a stall hero. So yay to all changes except for jump pile driver. Character to bounce. Zarya's a big nay. Okay. I want to talk about this because I do play a lot of Zarya too. I do like the 85 damage per second instead of 75. I like it a lot.
I know you can do better than that.
Not so sure about that. Not so sure about that. I'm not so sure about that one. I mean, I do like the change where you can parkour Zarya though. Like, I think that's a lot of fun. Like, maybe keep the fire knockback increased by 150% for Zarya alone. But the ones where you launch people like that, that's a meme. That's not a thing. That's a meme. But the bigger changes is the particle barrier changes. So her bubble is a lot bigger. It is increased by 50%, and the health is increased to 250. And that goes for her self bubble as well. You just can't see it because I'm not in third person. So what you saw when you saw on the bot, that exactly happens to Zarya as well. So for my opinion, I think the particle barrier, which is her self bubble, should stay, but the projected barrier should not. Because particle barrier is a 10-second cooldown and projected barrier is an 8-second cooldown. So it makes sense that her self bubble, which is on a longer cooldown, is better than the one for your friends. So yay for the 85 damage per second, and yay for the particle barrier, nay for the secondary fire, except for no longer hurting yourself, and nay for the projected barrier. Because I think if you get the projected barrier like this, it'll enable double bubble way too much. Okay, yay. So yay for particle damage, or particle cannon damage, yay for no explosions hurting yourself, and yay for particle barrier increases, but nay for projected barrier, and nay for the secondary. So that was all the tank, guys. So I think we're going to split this video into 3 parts. So that was all the tank changes, and those are flats changes. So we go over them. So we say yay for Diva if she gets if her defense matrix gets nerfed. Nay for Erisa, except for the Fortify change. Yay for all Reinhardt's changes except for his meme shatter. Nay for Roadhog. Nay for Sigma, unless the incretion stays not getting deflected and stays not getting eaten. Nay for Winston's jump pack, but yay for everything else. Yay for Wrecking Ball, except for the jump pile driver. And then yay for Zarya's particle cannon primary, and yay for the particle barrier. So for the most part, I think flats actually did some pretty good changes on the tanks. Some of them were too memey though. As an individual buff for the individual tanks, those are the changes that we would do. So we're going to do the damage heroes next. So we're going to try to go through these a little bit faster because there's more of them.